Welcome back to Fresh Outlook. A few short weeks ago on Black Friday, millions of bargain-crazed customers flocked to Target stores. But as they were doing their holiday shopping, one of the biggest heists in retail history was quietly underway. A band of cyber thieves pilfered credit card and debit card information from the giant retailer's customers, and they did so with pinpoint efficiency. Let's see what happened.
Target is advising customers to be vigilant, even if they haven't noticed suspicious activity on their credit card accounts. That's after a security breach that might have compromised some 40 million credit and debit card accounts. The discount chain says shoppers who swiped their cards in U.S. stores between November 27th and December 15th may have had their data stolen. Security experts are warning that consumers need to continually monitor their accounts.
Many times, there may not be any suspicious activity yet because the attackers might sit on this information for some time. They might sell that data to other people that might take action on it.
But the data breach isn't deterring some holiday shoppers.
No, I'm still shopping in Target, but I'm using cash. No credit card, no debit card. Nothing but cash now during the holidays. Play safe,
Target says it immediately told authorities about the breach and is teaming up with a third-party forensics firm to investigate. The chain hasn't disclosed exactly how the data breach occurred, but says it has fixed the problem and credit card holders can continue shopping at its stores.
And joining us now for this segment, we turn to financial expert Thomas LaVecchia for his insights, as well as Dr. Bart and Dee Dee. Thanks for joining us and for being on the show today. 40 million Americans. I mean, that's incredible. I know, Dee Dee, you said you could be one of them.
I think I might be one of them. I just realized that. I was like, you know what? I went to Target. I forgot about it because I just grabbed coffee. It was a small purchase, but it doesn't matter because now they have all my information. Who knows?
Well, it was me Wednesday night. My American Express card numbers were stolen, and the next morning, tens of thousands of dollars were being spent on that card, and I had the card. So they just took the numbers and either made another card.
Do you know how, where you were?
Yeah, it was a restaurant, I believe, and I sincerely believe it was not the waiter or the bartenders. I know who they are. I don't see that happening. I think someone broke in or did something to get my numbers and then either manufactured a card or somehow, use my numbers
online or whatever.
And I actually had an incident this week as well. I have Blue Cross Blue Shield, and I was informed through a letter, which bothered me because it took a couple days for it to get to me, that 2 computers were stolen from their Newark, New Jersey offices, and that I might likely have my credit and all that just the same as you. So certainly very frightening, and certainly something that we're seeing a lot more of. I'll let you take the floor and just talk us through this and why this is happening so much.
Yeah, essentially why it's happening is for Target's situation was an inside job. And it was obviously assisted by folks on the outside, and it's a pretty eloquent operation. So in that case, it happens at restaurants locally, it happens at whether you grab for coffee, whatever that is. So what they really do is if you're really worried about it and you want to prevent it from happening, one, cash is king. So carry cash and it can prevent you from happening again, and you're limited to your loss if you lose your wallet, but you don't lose bigger upside.
I want to talk about some of the other tips that you have for this, but I do want to talk about protecting yourself. But just in terms of what that does to you, I mean, you feel like you've been violated.
Yeah, I do. I felt violated. I was really angry. I'm still kind of angry about it. But I also wonder why the people at the counter, at the registers, don't require the individual to produce a driver's license, because they must have used a card or manufactured a card, because this was all in person, by the way.
It has gotten very, very easy. You go to a drugstore, they don't need anything. Just swipe, you're in.
Yeah, it's too easy.
2 seconds.
That's an interesting point. I wonder if that we will start to see that. What do you think about that, Michael?
Well, in terms of what's happening now, and actually Visa reported 50% of purchases are now actually debit card. So you think the criteria would be higher, ask for a PIN number, ask for a license or some information, but about half of merchants don't require it and they don't need it. So when you swipe your debit card, the money's taken out right away, and it's actually harder to recover than if you do it on your credit card.
I was going to ask that because I sometimes get worried about using my debit card for purchases. At first I was doing it because I could keep track, and it was easier not to have to mail things, especially if you're traveling or something like that, and mail your payments or something like that. But so you're saying, okay, obviously cash is king. That's the #1 tip that you have. don't use a debit card. If you can use a credit card, is that better?
Correct. So for example, if you have a debit card, ask your bank, is it a debit card or is it a MAC card? 'Cause there's a difference, or an ATM card. So you can actually have the debit card portion taken off. Another piece of advice is hook up with a fraud protection firm. So you immediately get a call, text message, or they'll notify you of any impropriety on your card. And if something does go through, and sometimes you're on the hook, sometimes it provides you some insurance from being having to be personally liable.
Yeah, I got a question on me to follow up if I may.
Sure.
For the debit card, because you have to have the PIN with the credit card, you don't. So it seems like the debit card would be a little safer, no?
No, because that's the case. When debit cards initially came out, they required a debit card, but an actual PIN number. But if you notice, most merchants don't have that. So most banks actually relax that restriction. So therefore, you can actually use your debit card, test it out. Hey, here's my debit card. See if they ask for a PIN. Most don't, and that's why this fraud is happening.
Yeah, interesting, because you're right, because some places do and some places don't.
But my debit card also has my picture, but again, nobody's asking for any kind
No,
of
they don't ask
ID
for
or anything
anything.
like that.
They switch your card
So
and
if
get back
somebody
out.
had my
So why don't we change the system? I mean, that's my question. Why don't we change the system so that anything over $100 or $1,000, certainly, you have to produce
Well,
a
weren't they
really
talking
good
about it, the
ID?
microchip versus just the regular,
Yeah.
like card strip?
Correct. The other part is now, for example, Target. So the bank that actually works with Target, now they're going to feel insecure. They're not going to trust Target. That's obvious. So they're going to probably whack them with higher rates for every credit card that's purchased. Might be a point or 2 points, but for Target, a company like Target, it's hundreds of millions of dollars.
I was just going to say, how much is this going to cost Target?
It's going to cost a lot in PR. It's going to cost the bottom line and the relationships with their vendors for which they bank with.
And this all started in Southeast Asia, is what they're saying. To pull something like this off, this must have taken, I would say, years of planning.
But believe it or not, it's a lot easier. You probably need one, if not two, really influential people inside that can make the difference. And then the third is, on the outside, it can be done overseas without one person even being in the U.S. because of technology.
But in a
that's
way, does it seem like it would be easier to catch them if it's an inside deal? You think that they would be able to catch them? I mean, if it's somewhere, there'd be some tracking of some sort.
Yeah, a company that big probably has just a security team of hundreds of people. Plus, they probably spend hundreds of $millions in security every year just to protect this from happening. But obviously, it happened to a company like Target. Just think if you're a small mom and pop, how easy it is.
Why don't we
But just in terms of how people feel, I mean now it's 40 million Americans. That's what one in 7 people in the U.S. I'm a person. You're another person. I think
we
everybody's.
have to expect the fact that we're going to be violated. We actually have to prepare ourselves because it's going to happen. I mean, it seems like it's happening to everyone. So that's a different take for me as a psychologist. I mean, I always thought that, well, maybe, it might not happen to me. I'm pretty careful. I know where I'm going. That's out. That's out of the question now. It could happen any place to anybody. And that changes your perception of what you think is going on in the real world today.
Well, it also makes you how you feel safe.
Yeah, absolutely.
Correct.
Any other tips that you can share with us?
Yeah, so not only should you have fraud protection, but just also maybe ask for your credit report. And you could probably get it done for free. Some companies are for free. You could pay maybe $10, but get a credit report maybe once a year, maybe twice a year, just to see if there's anything out there that may not be kosher, that you may be on the hook for, that you can catch early on, and that can prevent you from falling in a bad way in terms of your credit.
Terrific tips. Thank you so much for sharing them with us. And we have much more coming up, including a look at 2013's oddest best friends. Yeah, that's right. We're talking about Kim Jong-un and Dennis Rodman. Is this just for show, or do these two men really like each other?